Hey guys, Dennis here, Muddy Water Search and Recovery, and I wanted to do this video and get it out to you guys. First, I am going to start off with looking back on this last Sunday night's live feed on Loy Evitts and the Loy Evitts missing persons case. I do have some little bit more information that we did not get to last night, so I want to get that out to you guys so that everybody is ready for Sunday night, February 1st. We will be doing another live feed, doing a follow-up on the Loy Evitts missing persons case. Once I go through this information, there is some other stuff I want to kind of talk about and discuss a little bit on here. But let's jump right into this. Loy, as you remember, Loy Evitts missing from Kansas City, Missouri since February 28th in 1977. 29 when she went missing. Went missing down around the Country Club Plaza in downtown Kansas City, Missouri. So some of the information that I wasn't able to get to last night, and then with some questions that come up, I did a little bit of looking on some stuff. So one of the questions that come up had to do with debit or credit cards and records of their use. I was not able to find any records of where she had used or her debit or credit cards used after she went missing. Now, as far as a debit card goes, 1977 debit cards really wasn't a big thing in a lot of areas. In fact, the Bank of Delaware actually launched the first pilot program when it comes to debit cards in 1966. In the 1970s, there were a couple of your bigger banks that followed suit with that. But it was in the 80s, particularly the 90s, that you really started seeing debit cards pop up everywhere. And as far as any credit card usage, there was no reported activity after she went missing with that. This was brought up that partial remains of a woman was found on the banks of the Arkansas River in 1977, but they were able to confirm that those remains did not match Loy Evitts. Somebody asked about the weather as well, and this is something that we always try to look into. What was the temperatures that day? What was the weather? Somebody had mentioned and asked if she was wearing a jacket. We know she was wearing a sweater and a turtleneck and slacks. I'd done some digging, and the temperatures on February 28th, 1977 in downtown Kansas City, Missouri, the low temperature was 30. The high was 55.9 degrees with a mean temperature of 40.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, if these temperatures were like in November, that would be pretty cold temperatures. But for this to be February 28th, in this area, we've already gone through several really cold months. So with these temperatures at that point, these temperatures are going to feel decent outside. So a sweater and a turtleneck was likely sufficient. Now, we do not know what she was carrying in the leather shoulder bag that she had with her. As you remember, the purse she was carrying was found under a bridge by kids playing. This purse was found in a creek, but there have been no reports of the leather shoulder bag ever being found. So did she have a jacket in that? We do not know. But with those temperatures, it is kind of unlikely. I know Alex also mentioned that he's seen on social media where people on social media were talking about maybe she wasn't in a happy marriage type thing. From what I am seeing from everything that has been reported, this is newspaper articles, um, that's interviews they've done with law enforcement, people who knew her. What is being said is that reportedly there were no personal or financial problems that she was going through. There was reportedly no rumors of any affairs on either her or her husband. They did not suffer any type of financial loss. They weren't living a high risk lifestyle. So when it comes to that, I kind of got to look at it as social media rumors. It doesn't immediately rule those out, but right now there is no evidence of any personal or financial issues that could have led to her going missing. And she was described as a meticulous person, both about her appearance and her possessions. So, this is a lady who really took a lot of pride in herself, who she's around, what she's doing. And, I know some of this may not make sense to some of you if you haven't watched the live feed. So if you haven't seen it, please go back and watch the live feed from last night. It would have been January 11th, 2026. And it may be able to help clear some of that up for you. But set your calendars, February 1st, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. We will be doing a live follow-up on the Loy Evitts missing persons case. We do have other Sunday night live feeds scheduled between now and then, and we will update you by Thursday or Friday every week of what case we'll be discussing that following Sunday night. So a couple other things I wanted to talk about, and this has been from questions that have come up. As most of you know, February 7th makes 5 years that Muddy Water Search and Recovery has been active. So some of these conversations here has to do with questions that's come in over the years. They've come in multiple times. So I do want to kind of jump in and cover some of these. And the first one has to do with what is, and this is law enforcement's version as well as ours, what is an active missing persons case investigation and what is considered a cold case investigation. So the inactive missing persons case, the investigation, means the case is under investigation by law enforcement, which may involve multiple agencies and resources. So they are actively engaged in investigating that missing persons case. They are following up on leads, and they are even boots on the ground working on that particular case. Now, a cold case is defined as a criminal investigation that has been suspended indefinitely because all available leads have been exhausted and the case remains unsolved. This term typically applies to serious crimes such as homicides, assaults, or missing persons, which often do not have a statute of limitations. In the context of missing persons cases, A cold case refers to a case that has been open for an extended period without any leads or progress in the investigation. So essentially, when it comes to a missing persons case, once law enforcement have exhausted all of their leads, there's nowhere else they can turn. The case sits there and it becomes cold. Now, if a lead does come back into law enforcement, they can and they will reopen a case. Some jurisdictions, it seems really hard to get them to reopen a case. Others will reopen it immediately once a new lead comes in. But regardless, even though a cold case says suspended indefinitely, technically it's not indefinitely, because as they get new information in, they will reopen that case. So next, and this is something I had mentioned over the years doing this, this has to do with missing juveniles and the classification that seems to always be attached to them, which is missing runaway. I have always hated that classification. I felt that was put on these cases way too quick, because that not only limits the investigation, that changes the entire scope of the investigation. And we have seen cases, we've worked on cases where it turns out they were never a runaway, they were actually being trafficked. So we've always hated that classification. And recently I did see on Kansas Missing and Unsolved, they're the first ones I've seen share it. There are new federal guidelines out for law enforcement to follow. Kansas Missing and Unsolved reported on this, and I have seen this, and I agree with them. We do still see the missing or the runaway classification popping up very early in some of these cases. We feel maybe those departments, especially your rural departments, maybe they don't have a full grasp of the guidelines yet, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. So let's jump over into these real quick. No waiting periods. Federal law mandates prompt acceptance of missing child reports and immediate entry into the NCIC database within 2 hours, regardless of circumstance. That is huge. Missing Children's Assistance Reauthorization Act of 2023 expands NCMEC's role in providing support, technical assistance, data searches, and coordination for missing exploited children. Billy's Law, Help Find the Missing Act of 2022 addresses unidentified and missing persons, improving reporting and tracking. And of course, Savannah's Act of 2018 improves responses for missing or murdered Native Americans by increasing data sharing and interagency coordination. So the enhanced support and coordination, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or the NCMEC, provides crucial support, resources, and technical assistance to law enforcement, families, and professionals. Of course, the Amber Alert system, which in my opinion still needs a lot of work done to it, it broadens decimation of alerts for abducted children at immediate risk, supported by federal programs. Again, I still don't feel this is being utilized properly. It has done a lot of good, no doubt about it, but I believe it's outdated. I believe when and how it is activated needs a complete overhaul. And they also focus on better coordination between federal, state, and tribal agencies with initiative like ICE's Operation Safe Kids for Unaccompanied Minors. Now, I do know there's a lot going on in the news right now with ICE. So saying this is not supporting, it's not supporting ICE. We're simply showing what ICE is supposed to do when it comes to this. I'll leave it at that. So, what law enforcement must do, and this is according to those guidelines, they must report immediately, enter all missing child cases into the NCIC promptly, use resources, leverage programs like NCMEC, NamUs, and Amber Alerts. So the guidelines are telling them to activate the Amber Alerts as soon as possible and provide training. HHS's Inspector General encourages agencies to improve compliance and training on reporting missing children, especially those from foster care, to law enforcement. The core code enforcement requirements, immediate reporting. Federal law prohibits law enforcement from establishing a waiting period such as 24 hours for missing children. Reports must be accepted immediately. Now, this is something that we have come up many times in questions. Do I have to wait 24 hours? Federal guidelines state no. Law enforcement must immediately take the missing persons case, immediately get that information inputted and shared, and immediately begin investigating. The 2-hour entry rule under 34 USC 41308, law enforcement agencies must enter missing youth information into the National Crime Information Center, or the NCIC, database within 2 hours of receiving a report. And then, of course, Billy's Law, Help Find the Missing Act, reintroduced and funded in 2025. This policy streamlines reporting by connecting the NCIC with NamUs, a public access database for missing persons. The enhanced initiatives for vulnerable populations. And again, this goes back to ICE with the UAC Safety Verification Initiative, launched November of 2025. It involves ICE and local law enforcement partners conducting welfare checks on unaccompanied migrant children to prevent trafficking and exploitation by unvetted sponsors. The migrant youth interviews, as of August of 2025, federal law enforcement agencies are authorized to interview unaccompanied migrant children in government custody to locate missing children and conduct criminal investigations into their sponsors. The Missing and Murdered Unit, or MMU, established within the Bureau of Indian Affairs, this unit coordinates with the FBI and tribal investigators to prioritize active investigations into missing and murdered Indigenous people. And Find and Protect Foster Youth Act, this 2024-2025 policy requires federal evaluation of state protocols for local missing foster youth to ensure they are properly reported to the NCIC. In the investigative resources and support, NamUs Access provides a centralized system for law enforcement, medical examiners, and families to cross-reference missing person profiles with unidentified remains. And I can confirm that works because we were able to help identify 2 unidentified sets of remains. And we use NamUs to help us be able to do that. The Amber Alert expansion, continued federal funding supports the Amber Alert training and technical assistance center with a focus on increasing alert capacity within tribal nations and U.S. territories. And then, of course, Operation Safe Kids, a Secret Service initiative providing parents with digital, biographical, and fingerprint data that can be immediately handed to law enforcement if a child goes missing. And we have done stuff involving that in the past, and I will do a follow-up on that and share links where parents can get that information to be able to have that set up, have that on hand should the worst case scenario ever happen. So there's the guidelines now when it comes to missing minors. Again, the big takeaways is there is no waiting period on reporting anybody missing, especially a minor. Law enforcement has to immediately take that report and within 2 hours report that to these other agencies, have that information input, and begin their investigation. So that is, in my opinion, huge, and it is a huge step to getting these children back home, getting them located safe. So very excited about that, and it was past due, but thankfully this has been done. And we will keep you guys up to date if there are any more changes with this. So another thing I wanted to talk about, and this one is my wife Megan's company, Crooked Trail Designs. She is over on Etsy. A percentage of all of her profits do come to Muddy Water Search and Recovery to assist us in our efforts. Here is just a few of the many products she does have on her Etsy shop. We put videos out showing several different items, and I'm telling you, that doesn't even scratch the surface. Beautiful, affordable items here. The link to her Etsy shop is over in the video description tonight. Please go over, check out her stuff, support her business. Doing so, you're supporting a small company, and you are supporting Muddy Water Search and Recovery, and you're getting beautiful quality merchandise at a very affordable price. So make sure to check her out. The last thing I want to talk about tonight, and we've mentioned this a few times, our Facebook, our YouTube channel has been here for almost 5 years now. We don't have the following that all of the other teams have that are out doing what we do. So we are fighting tooth and toenail trying to hit 3,000 subscribers. Once we hit 3,000 subscribers, we will be doing a special live feed where we will be doing a giveaway. We've showed in the past one of the items we're going to give away is a smartwatch. These things are not cheap. And right now, currently, we've got 2,979 subscribers here on YouTube. So we are 21 subscribers away from 3,000. So please subscribe to the channel. Please share our videos. This not only gets these cases out in front of more people, this will also help our channel to grow. Subscribing, liking, leaving a comment, sharing, that does help the algorithm, and it does help our channel out a lot. So please continue to do that. Let's hit 3,000 subscribers, and we can get this giveaway live feed scheduled. and get some good items out to you guys. If you remember, we've done giveaways in the past where we actually gave away a big screen TV during one of these live feeds. So don't miss out. Help us hit the 3,000 subscriber number, and let's have a good time with that. So I will let you guys know by Friday what this Sunday night's live feed is going to be about. There are other videos going to be released out to you guys this week, so make sure to stay tuned for those. Guys, with that, till next time, you guys stay safe. We'll see you guys down the road.